Have you ever looked at Keanu Reeves and wondered why that quiet sadness seems to live behind his eyes, even when the world loves him so much? In a recent interview, he opened up about the weight he carries and what keeps him going through it all. It is not the Hollywood story people expect. It is raw, honest, and deeply human. Losses that would break most of us. Moments of grief that never fully leave. Yet he chooses kindness every single day. If you are a fan like me, this one hits different because it shows the real man behind the legend. Stay with me, because what he revealed changes how you see him forever. Keanu Reeves has always had this quiet presence that makes you feel like he is carrying something heavy, even when he smiles on screen. And in that recent BBC interview, he spoke openly about thinking about death, all the time at the age of 59, and how it sharpens his appreciation for the breath we have and the relationships we build. It is not some dramatic confession, but an honest reflection from a man who has known real loss and kept walking forward anyway. As a longtime fan, it hits hard because you see the depth behind those eyes in every role from Neo to John Wick, and you realize the sadness is not an act. It is part of who he is and how he moves through the world. Back in the early 90s, Keanu lost his close friend River Phoenix, who passed away suddenly from an overdose at just 23 years old. They had worked together on My Own Private Idaho and shared a bond that went beyond the set. That kind of sudden goodbye changes you forever, and Keanu has carried it quietly without turning it into public spectacle. Then came the late 90s when he and Jennifer Syme welcomed the news of their daughter Ava, only for her to be stillborn in December of 1999, just weeks before she was due. The pain of that moment is something no parent should ever face, and Keanu and Jennifer both felt it deeply. Their relationship did not survive the grief, and a couple of years later, in 2001, Jennifer herself died in a tragic car accident at only 28 years old. Keanu was the one who carried her casket at the funeral, showing up with the same steady dignity he brings to everything. He rarely speaks about these losses in detail, but when he does, it is with a truth that resonates. In a Parade magazine interview years ago, he said grief changes shape, but it never ends, and that people have this misconception. You can just deal with it and say, it is gone, and you are better, but they are wrong. Those words come straight from his own experience, and they explain so much about why there is this underlying sadness, even as he lights up the screen with action and heart. In the Guardian interview from 2019, he talked about how grief and loss do not ever go away, they stay with you. And he absolutely relates to that, especially when playing John Wick, a character built on mourning his wife. He said it is about the love of the person you are grieving for, and anytime you can keep company with that fire, it is warm. That line always stays with me because it shows how Keanu turns pain into something gentle rather than letting it harden him completely. He has chosen kindness over bitterness time after time, and fans see it in the stories of him giving up his seat on the subway, or quietly helping crew members on set or supporting causes without needing the spotlight. It is not about being perfect. It is about being real and human in a world that often rewards the loudest voices. Growing up, Keanu faced his own challenges early on with his father, leaving when he was young and moving around a lot with his mother and sisters, which meant new schools and feeling out of place more than once. Acting became his way to connect and find some stability, and he poured himself into it with roles in Bill and Ted Speed and The Matrix that showed his range from funny to intense. But even at the height of fame, he kept his personal life private. And when those heavy losses came, he did not disappear. He kept working and kept showing up for others. That recent revelation about thinking about death all the time ties back to everything he has been through. It is not morbid, it is a reminder to value the present and the people around us while we still can. Keanu Reeves has said in interviews that he hopes this awareness sensitizes us to appreciation rather than crippling us, and you can see that in how he lives. How he rides motorcycles for the freedom and focus. It brings him away from the noise of Hollywood. He writes books and collaborates on projects like the Book of Elsewhere that explore big questions about existence and mortality in creative ways. Fans connect with him because he feels approachable despite the legend status. No entourage, no drama. Just a guy who loves his craft and treats people with respect. Think about The Matrix turning 25 and how emotional he got reflecting on what it meant to so many people, including himself. That moment showed the warmth beneath the quiet exterior, a man grateful for the journey, even with its shadows. His sadness is not constant misery, but a companion that reminds him of love lost and the importance of holding on to the good parts. He has never remarried or had more children, publicly choosing instead to channel that energy into his work and private acts of generosity. Stories circulate of him paying for crew meals or helping friends in need without fanfare, and those moments feel authentic because they align with everything he has shared about grief and kindness. It is easy to look at a celebrity and assume their life is all glamour, but Keanu reminds us that pain does not discriminate. It finds everyone, and how we respond is what matters. As someone who has followed his career for years, I appreciate how he avoids the fake motivation talk and just lives his truth. In one interview, he mentioned he does not want to be part of a world where being kind is seen as weakness, and that stance shines through. He brings that same energy to John Wick, a role where the character is driven by loss yet finds purpose in protecting others. Keanu has said he loves the grief in that character because he relates to it deeply and it makes the performance feel earned rather than manufactured. The audience feels it too, which is why the films resonate so strongly. Beyond the big blockbusters, he has taken on smaller projects and even theater work, showing he is in it for the love of storytelling, not just the paycheck. His humility stands out in an industry full of egos. He still says please and thank you and listens more than he speaks. That recent BBC conversation about death being on his mind all the time at 59 feels like a natural extension of a life marked by real goodbyes. It is not depressing, it is honest, and it encourages us to think about our own relationships and what we are grateful for today. Fans like me draw strength from seeing him continue to create and connect despite everything, because it shows resilience is possible without denying the hurt. Keanu Reeves lost River Phoenix when they were both young and rising, and that friendship left a mark. Then the stillbirth of Ava, and later Jennifer Syme's death, compounded the weight in ways most of us can only imagine. Yet he kept going, making movies, traveling, meeting people, and choosing to be present. In the Stephen Colbert interview years back, when asked what happens when we die, he gave a thoughtful response that mixed humor and sincerity, reflecting his Canadian roots and spiritual openness without dogma. He has explored different philosophies, but always returns to simple human values like empathy and effort. This is why the title Keanu Reeves just revealed why he is so sad captures something real. It is not clickbait. It points to the genuine emotional layers he carries and shares sparingly. The sadness coexists with joy and creativity. He laughs with friends, enjoys his motorcycles, and finds peace in the work. For those of us who admire him, it deepens the respect because it humanizes the icon. He is not defined by tragedy, but shaped by it in ways that make his kindness more meaningful. Continuing through his story, you see patterns of quiet endurance. After the losses in the early 2000s, he threw himself into projects like Constantine and The Lake House, showing vulnerability on screen that mirrored his inner world. He has spoken about how acting allows him to process feelings indirectly through characters. That honesty in interviews makes every revelation feel earned, not staged. In 2024 and beyond, with projects like Ballerina and other upcoming films, he keeps evolving while staying true to himself. The public sees the meme versions of sad Keanu, but those who pay attention know it is more nuanced, a man aware of life fragility who still chooses to engage fully. His foundation work and support for children's hospitals or animal causes reflects someone who understands suffering and wants to ease it for others. No grand announcements, just consistent actions over years. This approach builds lasting connection with audiences because it feels believable, not performative. Grief, as he describes it, changes shape. It might soften over decades, but the love underneath remains warm. And that perspective helps many fans navigate their own challenges. Keanu Reeves' childhood involved moving between countries and adjusting to new environments after his parents split, which taught him adaptability early. His mother raised him and his sisters with strength, and that family bond remains important. Despite fame, he values normalcy, simple things like reading or writing or spending time with close ones. When he revealed in that BBC piece about thinking about death, it was tied to being 59 and recognizing time passage, but also appreciating the now. It echoes his earlier words from The Guardian, where he tied grief to love and keeping company with that fire. These interviews provide the real foundation for understanding him. No speculation, just his own measured thoughts shared when the moment feels right. As fans, we respect that privacy and the selective openness because it keeps the connection authentic. His career spans decades from Bill and Ted Adventures to Matrix Revolutions and John Wick sagas, each era showing growth and commitment. The sadness does not stop the momentum. It fuels a deeper presence in his performances that audiences love. People often ask why Keanu seems sad, and the answer lives in those personal losses and how he integrates them without letting them define him entirely. He has built a life of purpose through art and relationships and small kindnesses that add up. In interviews, he comes across thoughtful and grounded, never seeking pity but offering insight. That recent conversation reminds us all that reflecting on mortality can bring more gratitude and better connections in daily life. For Keanu, it means continuing to create stories that entertain and move people while honoring the ones he lost by living fully. Fans feel this bond because his journey mirrors universal experiences of love and loss, just on a public stage. He handles it with grace, and that inspires. The script of his life includes pain and perseverance, humor and heart, and it keeps unfolding in beautiful ways. Whether on a motorcycle ride or in front of cameras, he brings presence and that quiet strength that resonates deeply. This is the real Keanu Reeves, not the tabloid version, but the man who turns grief into gentle fire and shares it through his work and words. If Keanu Reeves' story of carrying grief with grace while still choosing kindness every day moved you, then drop a comment below and tell me what part of his journey resonates with you the most. Maybe it is how he turns loss into quiet strength, or the way he reminds us to appreciate the breath we have right now. Share this with fellow fans who need that honest perspective today, and hit subscribe for more real stories about the actors we love and the human side behind the fame. Keanu keeps showing up with heart, and we can too. Thanks for watching, and remembering that even in sadness, there is warmth in the love we hold on to. See you in the next one.